Hello and welcome to a super duper special episode of Yishmachuchem v'Yosef Lekach. It's special for a few reasons. Number one, it's going to be in English. Yep, I can read in English. And number two is because we're going to have a very special guest. Special for two reasons. This guest is very special for two reasons. Number one, because she's my wife. Number two, because I'm her husband. And we're going to discuss a topic that was requested by many since the episode came out of meaningful, Stories of Hope. Many people requested that I talk about the Off The Derech topic that we touched on, and I figured who better to have this conversation with than the actual person that was on the podcast with me. So here we are. Let's jump into it. And let's discuss a little bit about what the derech is. So number one, I don't like the term Off The Derech. It's a very not nice thing. Why? One reason is because we discussed on the podcast, I'll just give a little bit of a chazura over here, is that there's no such a thing as going off the derech. Only the derech became very narrow and some people don't fit. Meaning, in certain circles, we made the derech too narrow by not accepting certain people, so they end up falling off. I like a better term. I like rather, instead of OTD, PTSD. Ooh, that's very hard. PTSD.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah.
I mentioned on the podcast that every person has flaws. And I wish I can go back and correct that word because I don't like to call them flaws. I think every person is perfectly made. What happens is we go through life and we go through different traumas, different people take advantage of us, and we end up having wounds. Every person has wounds. And as we go through life, as we heal those wounds. But it takes a healthy partnership and a healthy... Are you going to practice?
No, we're just going to keep going. It takes people being very healthy and healthy-minded and growth-oriented in order to heal those wounds. And part of those wounds could be how we look. A wound could be a tattoo. A wound could be a piercing in a place that we're not used to. Wounds could look like many different things. It could be anger. It could be many different character traits. And part of growing is outgrowing these wounds. And what I meant by PTSD means preaching, that's the P, preaching the sacred derech. That's PTSD. It's a new term I coined. I very much like it. PTSD, preach the sacred derech. Instead of saying, he's OTD, no. We are PTSD. We are preaching the sacred derech. I think that's something we have to focus on. Now, the origins of the derech is, there were 12 shvutim, there were 12 tribes, who each one had a different path. Zevulun was working. Everybody had a job in Zevulun. What did they do? They supported Issachar because they all were learning. Levi was busy doing Kedusha stuff with the Beis HaMikdash and all the jobs that it entailed. Everybody had a different avodas Hashem, and they all looked differently. They acted differently. They did different things, all with one intention of doing Hashem's will. That's what the derech is. The derech is multifaceted. Wow, that's a big word. You did not expect that word. The derech is multifaceted. Google it. Pause, Google, and then come back. Now, what we have, the derech we have, the derech people have in mind is halichos החיים. Halichos החיים means halacha. We have halacha. That's the derech we go. In all from societies, all Torah societies, we follow the derech, which means halacha. That's the derech. Halichos החיים. Al tikra. Halichos elu halachos. We follow halacha. Now, some people, everybody follows halacha. Let's put it this way. Now, everybody also sometimes falls through. It's called a sin. It's an avaida here and an avaida there.
Can I interject?
Yeah, sure.
I think that when we picture a derech, a road, we picture like a highway. And I'm here, that person that I see that looks less modest than me or is not practicing this as well as me, they're behind me. That person looks more religious than me. Oh, so they must be ahead of me. No, it's a spectrum. You're great at this. You're not as great as that. At that. That person might be weaker at what you're seeing, but you don't know what's going on underneath. They might have a much stronger connection with Hashem. That's why we can't judge. And we can't place people anywhere on the derech. You can't label people.
It looks like I'm imagining a producer's mixer, they have by the weddings next to the musician. Everybody has a different toggle. The anger is higher, the happiness is lower. And it's not like they're ahead because they look better.
Exactly.
In their looks, they're ahead, and other things they're behind.
What you're seeing, because also we project. You see what you're good at. So you're judging based on what you're up to.
Wow. So what I was getting at is with halacha is everybody wants to follow halacha, and that's the derech. But what ends up being is we all have certain weaknesses based on what you said, Chana Hindy, earlier on the wounds, because we have wounds. So it punches out in different areas in our life. We end up, other people end up seeing our wounds differently. Someone recently told me, this guy's a mitgemachte mensch. Mitgemachte mensch means he had many different difficulties in his life. I said we're all mitgemacht. We all had difficulties. Some we know, some people we know, some people we don't know. We all had difficulties. And the same thing is with falling through in halacha. We all have our struggles. Some people it's obvious, some people it's less obvious. And the people that it's obvious, we say they're off the derech. But the Chazal teach us, and they say, Miyet, I think this is what they say, be'erech like this, something like this. I'm going to paraphrase in English. Some people sin in aroyas, that means in adultery. Many in gazlunas, in stealing. And everyone in avak lashon hara. That's Chazal, meaning we all, this is you?
Yeah.
We all sin differently. And some people, so what am I saying? The avak lashon hara is also an avaida. But that's an accepted avaida. Somehow that became an accepted avaida. And once that's accepted, so people that do lashon hara, we're not going to call off the derech. People that look terrible in your eyes, they're going to be considered off the derech. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, I heard a story about girls that went out eating in a pizza store. They're all struggling girls in a certain school. And they were all dressed or undressed in a certain, everybody can imagine. And there was some Hasidic elder couple over there giving them attitude. And at some point, one girl went over to her and said that we all sin. You sin privately, I sin publicly.
Exactly.
And that person in the end, this elderly woman, ended up giving her a hug and saying, wow, she projected her insecurities onto this poor innocent girl. Now,
we're all in this world because we have things to work on. We're all equal.
Right. If we're in this world, the ones that are connected to Hashem and are alive, the ones that are alive are connected to Hashem. The ones that are connected, those that are connected are still alive.
Also,
so as long as we're connected, we're alive. So if we're alive, we're connected.
Exactly. Also, something I like to tell my kids: when one gets a red lollipop, the other one gets a purple lollipop, and that child will be like, "Hey, I also want a purple lollipop." What I like to tell them is, we all get different things at different times.
Life is not a contest.
So that person might actually be on a lower level than you, but maybe they're capable of less. They're less strong than you. You were given more tools.
That's what the Arachim says.
Yeah.
Yeah. 500 years ago, I don't know how many years ago, something about around that many years ago, he said that Shimon and Levi, they had, Shimon was an angered person. And that's why he was dealt differently with Yaakov Avinu.
Yeah.
Because you expect different things from different people. You can't expect everything from the same person. Everything from every person. So what I was saying about halacha, I don't know if I finished that thought. Let me think. That, because so the derech is halacha, right? And because some people, you see them not keeping halacha a certain way, that means they're off the derech of halacha. When in truth, we all struggle with halacha. We all want to do our best, and we all strive for the same thing. So what is preaching the sacred derech? PTSD. PTSD comes from a place of non-judgment. It comes from understanding that every person chalak alakam imal mamash. Every person was created with a tzelem alakim, within God's image. We don't have some people think a piece of us is Hashem. No, we are a piece of Hashem. We're entirely a slice of Hashem. And wow, deep stuff. My mind is blowing up. So we're all chalak alakam imal. And if we can accept other people, and of course we can help them, and we do have to help them. But an interesting halacha I learned with Uzav Tazav Imoy, it says, Kisira Chamur Sanach, if you see your enemy's car broken down, that person you have to help. They're your enemy. And Chazal ask, how are you allowed to have enemies? You're not allowed to hate anyone. And Chazal teach us, no, it's a person that you know sinned and you told them not to and they continued. So it's such a person, you have some hate. But the Torah also says you have to help them. So how do you reconcile it? If I hate them, why do I have to help them? So Chazal teach us, because if you're not going to help them, they might die. So you see someone broken down and the car is broken down and he needs to fix his tire. He's not going to be able to travel, so he's not going to have food or drink, so you have to help him. Or he's not going to be in business. If he doesn't have his car, he can't do his business. So he's going to lose his money, his livelihood. So you have to help him. But he's my enemy, or he sinned. He's a Rasha. That's what Chazal call him. He said, "Chamor sen achu." He's your enemy, and he's your enemy because he sinned. So why do I have to help him? Because maybe he's going to die, but maybe he should die. He's a terrible person. He sinned to Hashem. No, because when you help him, that's what Chazal teach us. I'm not making this up. Chazal teach us, it's a Gemara. If you help him, that could save him. That could bring him back. That's called preaching the sacred derech. It's not telling them the halacha. That's not what it means. Someone that is considered, quote unquote, OTD, you don't preach to them. The PTSD is not to tell them the halacha. They know the halacha. They know what needs to be done according to from society. The way you bring them back, in short, hopefully one day we're going to be able to delve in more in detail on this concept, but just in short, because people asked us to have a conversation on this matter, is PTSD is preaching the sacred derech, which means not to teach any halacha. It's all with love and acceptance and kindness, and that's how you get them back. Slowly, it's an empty bucket, and to fill it up, some people have bigger buckets, some people have even bigger buckets. But slowly, by giving them unconditional love, untainted love, which means, it doesn't mean just you have a freebie, you can do whatever you want. It means I accept you, I understand you. That will bring them back in Mitzvah Hashem. Anything you want to add?
No, you said it perfectly.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I appreciate the compliment. I already had one listener in this podcast. Thank you. And thank you all for listening. And I'm going into a tunnel. I'm not going into, it's not true. I'm not going into a tunnel. I'm just going to stop it.